Hi, I'm Steven. You can now watch UCF TV 24 hours a day on Bright House Digital Channel 1.
You just got to see a little bit of a film that the folks at the Cannes Film Festival got to enjoy. Miss Julianne and the Filmaker, our own UCF film expert.
Well, please.
And one of our favorite people, JJ Ruscella. Oh my gosh, Cannes. Oh my gosh. When I heard that your film, 2 of your films went there, what was that like when did you get a letter or email? How did you know that it was going there?
Well, we found out that both of them were going to be there probably within about 3 weeks of each other and about a month before the festival. One of them was marketed there. It was in the book. It's a feature film called The Karaoke King that we're hoping ends up with distribution because of the whole thing that we're in negotiations with right now. That's on, you can pre-order The Karaoke King at karaokekingmovie.com.
karaokekingmovie.com.
And then Miss Julianne, the short, we put into the short film corner at Cannes or Cannes or however, I don't know how to. Yeah, that's right. You know, I think it Cannes.
It doesn't matter, just as long as it's there.
That's right. It was there, and now we're up for 7 what they call Oscar booster festivals that allow you to get, if you win one of them, you can be nominated for an Oscar short. One of the categories you never get to see actually during the 3 or 4 hours or however long the thing ends up being.
Is that the one where the crawl's on the bottom?
This is what happened before. Oh, you know.
But you know what? Thank goodness for TiVo. You win it and you.
That's right. There it is. That's my name on the bottom. Or well, maybe that's,
but still,
you know.
I mean, it's like, oh yes, it's just Oscar boosters.
Yeah.
It's like, how huge is that?
Oh yeah, we're a little ambitious. Of course, we haven't gotten in yet, but you know, anyway, that's our goals. So.
I remember when I didn't even think you were still working on Karaoke King, and we were talking about it, and I remember saying to you, when you're on the red carpet, wave to me.
That's right, we'll see. Hopefully, you know, I'll be waving from that little line that's moving across the bottom, maybe. Who knows?
I think you have to practice answering, who are you wearing?
Right? Who am I wearing? I don't know. What's JCPenney? Is there still a JCPenney, by the way?
Yeah, so we'll get your stylist to carry. You just ask my stylist.
I'll give you a call.
So back to filmmaking. It's really, you've come a long way.
Oh, yeah.
Since when we first met.
That's right, because I was a theater professor who had never done film. and
what started it? What started the inroad into film? Practically everybody who's so passionate about what they're doing that I have met didn't start there. They ended up there.
Oh no, I had spent a lifetime in theater and of course got my my Master of Fine Arts from Rutgers University, Mason Gross School of the Arts, that I'm very proud of. And I've been teaching here for 12 years. I teach for the theater department here, and have been a professional director and producer and own my own companies and done all kinds of stuff.
True art, the theater.
The theater. I think I'm stepping away from the theater for a while. Give it to the up and comers and try to make some money making some film.
I noticed the true artists in the theater go back after they've made 40 million in film.
Right. That's right. Now I can afford to do theater. And there's lots of things that you can do with theater. So for my students out there, you can get work.
But you have to start somewhere.
You have to start somewhere, but I think that a lot of theater ends up leading towards film and television, and I'm actually excited to hopefully see some programs start to branch over between the two, because I think they need to cross-pollinate a little bit more.
I would think that theater would be harder than film. You don't get another take or 40 takes or move for the right lighting. It's
different.
Do it or not.
You know,
kind of like us right here. Do it or not.
That's right. Don't mess this up. But it's different. There are different, same techniques predominantly, but different needs. After I finished directing The Karaoke King, which was my first feature film, I had a whole different set of skills and requirements that I was going to my students with. I don't need 10 minutes for 4 months. I need 30 seconds, but I need that 30 seconds now. And it might have to match something you did 4 days ago. It's a very interesting process. I
imagine after you do film, the subtlety of it, because it's so big, the subtlety of it brought to the theater would help improve a performance in theater.
Oh yeah. Students get away with a lot of bad acting in theater. And the audiences, for the most part, don't know the difference. But over the past 15 years, the people that are going in to watch the movies are expecting more and more from their actors. So we've seen the quality, I think, of performance in general, the truth that the actors are bringing to the table become much more poignant. Whatever the word would be, that it needs to be much more naturalistic.
So we started to talk. So your theater. What was the breaking in point of film?
New York Film Academy. I was the director of the acting program for 6 years, and in the middle of my second year, the New York Film Academy's acting program at Disney over the summer. A few of the directors there was talking with me about a project that I wanted to do called
I know, it's I love this.
It's called The Making of a Saint. It's a movie about Santa Claus, and so hopefully that'll be my next film. But you can see that at santaisreal.com.
santaisreal.com.
And that's about the real man who becomes the legend of Santa Claus.
And you got me on that one. He's a fabulous actor.
Oh, thank you.
Remember, I was interviewing you, and I thought that it was actually, the story was actually true.
True,
that
that's right. That's right.
Existed and became the legend of Santa Claus. You got me on that one.
Thank you. And of course, I get to play Santa Claus in that one. Get to show my former students that I can still act a little. So I was telling one of the directors the story, and they said, I can't believe that story hasn't been done. You've got to make it into a movie. I said, write a treatment. I said, what's a treatment? So that was the beginning. A year later, that director showed up. I had a corporation and partners and investors and everything, and I invited him on. And then they said that I needed to direct something else before I directed this $10 million movie. So we decided The Karaoke King. I developed a couple of scripts along the way while we were developing the Santa movie. And so I co-directed The Karaoke King with Dan Mackler, that director who convinced me to do the Santa movie. And the Miss Julianne is actually the first thing that I've directed completely by myself.
How was that?
Oh God, it was so good. It was so good. It was a different experience because I hated the editing, the post-production on The Karaoke King. I just hated the editing process.
But you weren't the only director, so you couldn't.
That's right. I didn't. When I edited Miss Julianne, my DP convinced me to edit it with him, and I said, I hate this stuff. He goes, he said, you directed the shots, if you look at them, are 1 minute to 4 minutes long. So I don't have any cutaways. The camera moves through this choreography. So you either string my shots together or you don't, you know? And they're beautiful that way. But I realized that because I directed it myself, I could close my eyes and play the movie from beginning to end.
You got it all in your head.
You know, but I didn't have that experience with the Karaoke King because there's, you know, two ideas that are happening.
Right. And for people who are watching, cutaways are when you have a long series of a particular scene or somebody talking, and it's the edit. It's when you take a piece out and you put something else in to cover where you put those two pieces together.
Sure. It might be an insert, for example. You know, you may look at the cup, you know, and all of a sudden the cup has significance for a second. Meanwhile, the actor flubbed a line or something, and the editor needed to be able to get out of that shot. And none of the others worked because there was a light flare or the camera bumped or whatever.
In the news business, that's when we make the edits. In an interview, it's a 20-minute long sentence, and you only need 20 seconds. So to put it together, then that's when you see the reporter going, it's a cutaway.
Is that what you guys are planning to do with that last diatribe that I just went to?
No, I don't think so. In fact, we may need another half hour the way we're going. So, Miss Julianne, how'd the story come to you? How'd you decide to put that together?
There were a couple of ways that Julianne came together. One, the Karaoke King was at the Cinema City Film Festival in Los Angeles, and my director of photography wanted to shoot an art piece with me. So I had just done a snippet of Miss Julie by August Strindberg with Lisa Bryant, who was the lead in the Karaoke King movie, but also a graduate student of mine.
Here at UCF.
Here at UCF, and I had put a handful of my students into the movie, and one of the writers, Dante Bonner, who has been in Amanda Bynes in the movie Sydney White, his face is on the box in Blockbuster, he's one of the 7 dorks. He was one of the writers of the Karaoke King, one of the writers of the Santa movie with me, and
so he got me too.
Oh, he's phenomenal. He's super talented guy. He was one of the KJs, one of the karaoke jockeys in the Karaoke King. While Dante and Lisa had done her graduate thesis, the portion that I directed from Miss Julie by August Strindberg, I approached them and said, hey, why don't we make that into a short film? And so Dante immediately began writing, and our sound designers from the Karaoke King told me they wanted to compose the music for the thing. So there were a number of professionals that came together on this beautiful little piece to make it happen.
You know, it's amazing when you talk about, you know, the director and the TD and the sound designers and the lighting and the director of photography. I don't think people understand how many people it takes to put on something like this, to make a film.
Karaoke King took almost 400 people, working for basically free. I mean, they're on their union contracts. It's a SAG film, you know, but because it was an experimental film, it was deferred. So basically, everyone's working on hope, or just know that they're working on something that's free. We had this amazing experience with Miss Julianne. We had run over. It's the 3rd day of shooting, and it's a very intense period where the actors are really attacking each other, and I knew I was never going to get them back to the place that they were at. And my first AD wanted to call lunch, and but I couldn't do it because the actors would never get back there. So we broke half the crew. Well, what was happening? The acting was so beautiful, was so amazing, and no one left. No one went to lunch. You know, it's those moments where you know something's happening.
You know it's special.
Right.
We'll be right back, and we'll let you see some of the movie.
Miss Julianne, Sorry, Miss Julianne, I just called for the masses riding boots.
John, why don't you sit down?
That wouldn't be proper in your presence.
Well, what if I order you to do it?
Would it then obey?
Well, sit down then. Oh, but could you give me something to drink first?
I don't know. I feel all we got is whiskey.
Well, my taste is so simple.
A scene from Miss Julianne. She starts it all, huh? It's the woman's
Of
fault.
course it is. Of course it is. It's actually based on a very famous play called Miss Julie by August Strindberg that was written in Scandinavia in the 1880s. And we moved the time period to the 1860s, 20 years earlier, in the United States during the Civil War. And so the story is the daughter of a plantation owner sneaks into a barn to steal some whiskey.
So she's a bad girl to begin with.
She's a bad girl to begin with. Well, you know, I mean...
Good girls aren't interesting.
One of the things we find is that she feels repressed inside of this society. And of course, we know he is. And I think she's intrigued by the similarity of their circumstances. And the conversation has her discovering that he's a man.
He's a person.
That's right. And it's a beautiful, beautiful story. Once the sex scene happens, which is, we actually skip over it, it sort of comes in at the very end of the scenario, because the idea is of course, they're two different people. Once that's taken place, now we watch them have to deal with each other when the mystique is removed. Oh God, what a beautiful story.
You really love this.
I do it. I'm in love with the story, you know, and my cast. They're just tremendous.
It really draws you in, and I can see the crew not breaking for lunch.
Oh man!
It really draws you in. It's not as if you're watching actors.
Oh yeah, it's very, very, and it was very intense.
The lighting is gorgeous.
Oh, our director of photography, Aaliyah Lakji, is super, super talented. And he was the director of photography for the Karaoke King as well. But we got to really push the style on this art piece.
Because it almost, I think that's what helps make it so real. So many times you see lighting that's supposed to be before electricity in the dark, and it doesn't really cut it. But this, you really felt like you were in this barn.
Oh yeah, you know, where the lanterns are the light that is shed in the room. And so there's lots of darkness. They get to move through lots of shadow, and we cut their faces and their bodies. And
that's not easy to do.
Moving through, oh my God. Well, it takes additional hours and days of setup just to get the lighting right.
But it's worth it.
It's worth it. It's worth it. It's a beauty piece. The next piece that we're going to look at is my favorite, as he steps through the light at the end of the piece that you'll see. But what we found is, after we come out of the second half or into Act 2, after the sex scene, they begin to attack each other. And he attacks her, and she thinks, you know, for being single, for not being married yet. And she says, you know, I would think you would understand being a slave, why I wouldn't be so quick to grab a husband. And then she calls him a coon and a menial, and tells him to stand up, and you'll see what happens here.
Let's take a look.
I feel sorry. Now I know why you ain't got no husband.
thought a slave better than anybody would understand why I am not so quick to grab a husband. That a human soul could be so steeped in dirt.
Wash it off!
You coon. You menial. Stand up when I talk to you, boy. Get up!
It hurts me to discover what I've been striving to reach is nothing better, no more genuine.
Forgive me.
Miss Julianne, you spit on me, then you won't let me wipe myself off?
Be kind to me, John. Help me. Help me.
I imagine you're exhausted after this. Everybody must be exhausted. The actors, you know, it's so emotional. It's so real, and they have to go to that place for it to be so real.
Oh yeah, and especially when you're doing shots that are 4 minutes long. I mean, it can be very, very intense. And we Steadicam the whole movie, and what that means is you've got a guy with this suit on that's carrying this camera.
It's a bionicle camera.
Yeah,
now.
yeah. So the camera can move very slowly, but he's basically carrying, I don't know, 100, 125 pounds of weight as he's walking this through in these beauty shots. So the camera is choreographed through all of this with the man who's doing this whole shot. But it's okay if you're shooting 15-second, 30-second shots, but when I've got a guy walking through a 4-minute shot that's choreographed, that Steadicam operator, Richie, was fantastic as well. He would come out of it, he'd be sweating, dripping to his toes, but he knew it too. I mean, when he walked out, we were all able to see the beauty that we were catching.
Is it hard to watch it as an actor as well, to direct it as an actor? Do you ever feel like you want to get in there?
Oh, of course, of course. And I think what's really important for an actor-director is that the director asks questions instead of giving dictates. The problem is the actor-director can begin to try to act for the actors, and I can do that, but I prefer to cast actors who have got their own passion and their own abilities, and then you ask the questions that click them into place, that ignite them, and then you just watch the details of reality happen. Because when you've got somebody truly living inside of the circumstances, there's much more complexity in their behavior than somebody who's performing, you know?
Right, it's almost like I remember as a child playing pretend, and I remember the feeling of getting so lost in that it was real.
Oh yeah.
So it must be like that. I've never been an actor, but I imagine that's what it must be like.
What is this, you know?
This is real. This is me.
This isn't real. This isn't a real plant. No.
It's a plant. It's plastic acting. It has to have its emotion and its real.
Right.
Its
we need
meaning.
to talk later. I've got some ideas for you.
What's your motivation?
That's right. What's your motivation? So you can see Miss Julianne, or at least get a glimpse of what.
That's what I was wondering. You know, watch the Academy Awards and you see short films or whatever, and you think, where do I see this? How does the public actually go and see it?
Well, the Oscar boosters have required us to take the movie. We had put it on a website for it to be watched, and it was up there for a day or two, and we got a warning saying, if you really want to be considered, you can't have it on the internet at all. So
why is that?
I don't know. Then no one will go to the theater and watch it then. So as soon as we get through the circuit and we see how successful we are or are not, we'll put it up at MissJulianne.com. But you can see photos from it, and we may put a clip or two up there for people to watch. And now there are channels to play shorts. So there's a there's actually a market for shorts that didn't exist 5 years ago.
Because of all of the cable and satellite channels.
Absolutely, and the internet and all of those things.
Yeah, I always wondered about that. It's like, this looks so good, and who gets to see it?
Right? Oh yeah, people spend all this time in these shorts, and you know, we haven't seen the thousands of them that are out there.
And they're probably wonderful, and they're perfect amount of time in everybody's life to really see it and enjoy it as well.
That's right. You know, I don't want to have to sit through a 3-hour, you know, sitting down for a 3-hour movie. Oh my goodness, sometimes I'm not ready for that, you know.
You've got kids, I know.
want Kung Fu Panda. You know? Put out a shout out for Kung Fu Panda. No, I don't.
I also noticed, JJ, you work with your friends and the same people over and over again.
I do. You know what? It's the crew members that I work with that I end up falling in love with.
It's so sad when it's over when you work in a project like that, isn't it?
Oh yeah, and they become friends. I mean, Leslie, who does makeup for this, who I met a few years ago here, I invited out to do makeup for Miss Julianne, and she's been fantastic. And now her husband and her are very dear friends.
I know, she keeps me, she tells me, this is what I say, what's JJ doing? She's the conduit to me from you.
Oh, that's great. I'll tell you, I want to work with people that I like, and I want to have a love affair with the crew as we.
Do you think that's why it works so well? The happy crew, the happy people, everybody's happy.
Oh, there's magic. You know, there's magic when everyone's thinking, when everyone's contributing.
So what's next? We've got Miss Julianne, we've got the Santa movie, the Making of a Saint, and we've got Karaoke King. What's the next topic? I know you're going to be working on the Santa movie, but what after that?
Interestingly enough, I'm doing something a little different through the internet. My family's has been in real estate all my life, and I'm creating an entertainment channel on the internet about real estate called howtosellthehouse.com. So and that'll take me about 1.5 years, and it'll be interviews with experts and just trying to help solve some of the problems that people are going through today.
Especially, what's coming up in this whole real estate market. People are going to need help.
Oh yeah, and it's completely free information. And
I have a sneaking suspicion you're going to miss the filmmaking. And
well,
you got to work on Santa.
The year of doing this is preparation for the Santa movie. So we'll be raising the $10 million, and instead of jumping immediately into a project, I want to see Miss Julianne sort of come to fruition, follow it through the circuits, and not get myself involved in another movie because they take over your life. You
live it, breathe it, eat it.
Yeah. It's fun and it's fantastic, but I need 1.5 years to get the Santa movie done properly.
To recharge.
That's right.
JJ, you promised me. If you don't keep in touch, I'll just ask our friend Leslie.
Oh, right. You call me up.
Okay. You call me, I'll call you.
Sounds great.
Best of luck with all the Oscar
much.
Preliminary. And
Thank you.
Don't forget, you have to know who you're wearing, and you have to say hi to Charna.
I'm going to call you about that.
JJ Ruscella, MissJulianne.com, SantaIsReal.com, TheKaraokeKing.com, and HowToSellTheHouse.com. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you again next time on UCF Expressions.